Hello and welcome to the Metapod, Pokemon TCG podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. I got gyrosean over here, and this weird guy that's taken Atrocious Jake's place looks completely different.
Who is this?
Sean, how are you?
I'm good. I don't know who you are, though, Mr. I Got a Haircut. What happened?
I don't know who I am either. I don't know. I started One Piece. This is the descent to my madness in 973 episodes of One Piece, and
Have you
I
finished
had a TikTok that hit 200,000 views, and holy moly.
Did you finish
That was
all
crazy.
of One Piece? All 900 episodes?
I didn't binge all of it, Sean. I just started it. I'm on
Oh.
episode 3.
But you're also you're
I
also
started
watching
it.
all of Attack on Titan at the same time.
No, I finished Attack on Titan. I
Oh.
finished that. Oh my gosh. So there's a website that I use to keep track of like the animes that I watch and like the manga that I read. And it also includes in your entries when you like watch it and complete it, it has like timestamps as well. So I've always put the timestamps because like, I don't know, I just like filling in information.
Yeah.
And if you look at how fast I go through some of these shows, it's quite absurd. You'll realize that I have a problem.
I don't know.
It's fine.
You must be the kind of person that doesn't sleep much because I don't know how you do it. Until recently, you had all the sports stuff with your college, you had the college stuff. You have, all your streaming stuff. I wouldn't even call Metapod like your stuff. It's like once a week for like an hour. So like that's not real. But all the rest of it, I don't know how you have the time.
I just like, I don't know. I hate being bored, Sean. And so the difference between like now and being a student athlete, in college is like I have way more energy.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's why I can go. It's probably not healthy, but like I can go with not sleeping, 6 hours a night, in a couple day stretches. It's probably not good for me, but like I can do it because like, I don't work out. I just sit in this chair.
Yeah.
I just sit in this chair.
Also, acute viewers of the pod on Jake's YouTube channel may notice that Jake is wearing a different shirt today. He's been wearing, I haven't said anything, Jake, but I think you've been wearing the Purple Cliff sweatshirt for like
really
a month or more in a row. And I'm like,
no, I have to look back at I'd have to look back at them. Like I always watch through the podcast episodes, but that's not something that I've noticed.
I mean, check the tape, and viewers and listeners let us know. But I'm pretty sure, like I saw you when you pulled up on Skype today and I was like, different shirt. And you got a haircut.
I'm wearing a sweatshirt today. Oh my gosh. Well, you called me out on my air conditioner before the stream, so there's no way I can wear a sweatshirt today.
Yeah.
It's like 100 degrees outside.
I made Jake turn the AC off. But anyway, I think we also fixed the audio. A couple of very keen listeners noted that Jake's audio was a little higher. So let us know if...
Or you were a little lower.
Or maybe I was a little lower.
Don't put the blame on me.
Don't
put it all on me.
No. Regardless.
This is a 2-man pod.
Regardless, let us know if it seems better. If you have no idea what we're talking about, ignore everything.
Hopefully it just sounds more enjoyable. But we got a lot of stuff here to talk about on the pod today. Well, really not
actually, no, we don't.
Not really like a ton of stuff, but I think like the one main thing that we got here today is actually very intriguing, very interesting, and I think we could talk like a long time about it if we wanted to. So we're really just going to stick to one topic today. If you guessed it, that's V Union. Literally came out 4 days ago. It was like a day or two after the podcast aired because, of course, Pokemon news always comes out on like Wednesday or Thursday. We should become a Friday podcast, Sean, because then we would be the first to all the news. But it's fine because we're golden. We're the Metapod. Anyways, Sean.
Yeah.
We have a 5-star review, don't we?
We have one last 5-star review. So that means any of the listeners out there, if you haven't put in a 5-star review, if you do it now, you are at the front of the line, basically. We had a whole plethora of 5-star review. I don't know if any of you know Three Amigos. We had a plethora.
When we said like 25 5-star reviews for
the
video podcasts, that was like we got like 30 reviews within like a couple days. It was awesome, and now it's definitely started to slow down a little bit, but who knows? Maybe we have another deal in the future. I don't know what that deal would be, because what are we going to do, Sean? Are we going to go to people's houses and record the pod at 100 5-star reviews?
give me some time to think. I actually do have some ideas, but if you want to get your review read quick, now is the perfect time to do it because this is the last one. But I'm going to be reading this 5-star review from Porg Solo. I believe this is a Star Wars reference.
I think so too. I like porgs.
Yes, they're very cute. They're like the Pokemon of Star Wars.
They are.
Howdy, trainers. We all know Stamp is a lie, but this podcast is no lie, the best mix of meta and new product talk I've come across. Whether you're old or new, this is a great listen, and I appreciate what you guys do. Thanks. Well, thank you, Porg.
Hey, Porg. Thank you. Thank you. We definitely, I mean, we've tried the last couple pods to like update on the meta, you know, talking about like Galarian, Rapidash, and things like that. But Sean and I are just both ready for Chilling Reign release, and then 2, just really ready for rotation. Sean, did you get? I just got a booster box today, Monday, of Chilling Reign from my local game shop. I didn't realize that because they would sell it early.
Yeah.
But like a week early, right? Like still on Friday, like before the pandemic, based on pre-releases.
It was always the rule. I believe the rule was the Monday of the week that it releases.
Okay.
You can sell the boxes if you participated in pre-releases.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, my store has always sold pre-releases during the pandemic. Like, they've always sold it. They didn't host any tournaments, though.
No.
So it was like, I feel like for Battle Styles and even Darkness Ablaze and Rebel Clash, like, it was always like it came out on the exact day that it came out, that Friday. So it was like a huge surprise to me that it came out today on Monday.
I wonder if it may just have been that they didn't have product. Now, finally, there's actual product.
Yeah, maybe they just got it early enough. And Pokemon was like, "Go ahead, like just go for it." And they're like, "Okay," because they're not dumb. They always follow the rules.
Yeah.
In the 2 years that I've been there, they've always followed the rules.
Yeah, very rules friendly LGS then.
Well, they don't need Pokemon to survive because they do a lot of Magic and they do a lot of comic books. So
okay,
but they do like having the Pokemon stuff.
Well, what was I gonna say? Well,
you were gonna tell me how cute you are.
Oh. Have you opened up any Chilling Reign stuff? Any pre-release packs?
I opened up a pre-release. I got Shadow Calyrex Rider VMAX. You can go check that out on YouTube.
Gosh.
Very, very cool. It was awesome because I think that's probably out of the 10 pre-releases that I've done, I've gotten hits in 2 of them. Now, one of them was the alternate art Choo Choo and Unified Minds, and now I have Shadow Calyrex Rider.
Oh my gosh.
So thank goodness that I'm actually getting good hits when I get hits.
Yeah.
I got the Oranguru, or not Oranguru, Passimian promo. But the booster box, you can actually see it in the podcast. The booster box is meant for like hype trains on Twitch. So like I opened up one for TikTok just to like let some of my people know like, hey, I got a box. But the rest of the packs will be opened up on Twitch we're opening up 9 packs during the Treehouse and Nintendo E3 stuff. Because I owe them some.
Well, so if you want to see what Jake gets in his box and see if the hits are any better.
Boom! Self promo.
Yeah. I opened up one more pre-release kit. I did a stream with one of my local game stores. And I did an opening with them and I did a pre-release too. Like we just played a few games. I didn't get anything. They got a gold psychic energy.
Ooh,
which was very nice.
Yeah, the new gold energies.
Yeah, and a full
Is there
art
fighting
Calyrex.
and psychic in the set?
I think it's fighting. It's not water. That was the weird thing. Water was not in the set, and I'm like, but Calyrex Ice Rider's in the set.
Yeah, I would have thought it would have been psychic and water.
But I think it might be some weird thing like fighting, and I think the water may be coming out in the next set, or maybe water was in Battle Styles, and I'm just not paying attention.
Either way, secret rare energies are coming back. Jake can't afford them, so it doesn't even matter really. But
yeah, I will say, if anybody out there at some point after this podcast is listening, plays in a pre-release style event for Chilling Reign, I will give you the perfect strat. Diglett Mill.
I think I saw that picture. You just
Dude.
like flip heads and like your opponent can't hit you, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, the pre-release kits, there's no gusting in the format because they didn't include any gusting cards with the kits in the bundle, and there's nothing in the set. So there's no gusting in the format. So and they also gave me Glimwood Tangle in the pack, and I'm like, why would you give somebody Diglett, which says it not only stops all attack damage, but it also stops all the effects of attacks. So that's like confusion, poison, damage counter spread from Calyrex. Like, I don't know how you would get around this in this format. So if you just flip heads every turn, which you're like, if you have Glimwood Tangle, you have a greater than 50% chance of flipping heads.
That's why I used to always say flip heads forehead.
Right. And I did that. I played that, and I actually put other things on the bench in case I didn't flip heads, but I did not have to use any other Pokemon the whole game. I dig.
You just did your Dittos or Diglets?
My Diglett. The whole game, I was able to flip heads the entire game, and they ran out of cards in their deck, and I won.
How do you not run out of cards first is what I'm thinking. Because, like, if they just know your strat of you're never going to hit them, like, you just put up, like, one, maybe two Pokemon, slowly attach energies on them, and then just attack you and make sure they always have more cards than you.
I mean, I think it's the awkward thing of like, well, there is the chance that they don't hit heads, right? And then I have to be ready to attack, and also by the time they realize what's going on with Diglett, to be honest, like, it's a pre-release. How many people really know the format? By the time they realize it,
you should always be prepared, Sean.
I just think that, for the most part, it's unlikely that your opponent will realize what's going on soon enough that you won't have drawn a couple of extra cards that you didn't need to. I don't know. But that's, the big brain strat for anybody playing pre-release format of Chilling Reign.
I would have beat Sean. I'm calling it now. I already know his tips and tricks. But Sean, you know what else is a tip and trick in the Pokemon trading card game coming soon?
Yes, what?
V-Union.
Oh, let me go to there we go.
V-Union was I don't know if I'd say fully revealed because there may be more things coming. But V-Union was finally revealed, as it says on PokeBeach.com. We found out about the trademark V-Union about 6 months ago. The Pokemon Company made the trademark, and we had no idea what it was until just last week, where if you know Pokemon Legends from Heart Gold, Soul Silver era, these will be familiar to you. These are 4 cards that combine into one mega card. I want to say Exodia, but there's people like Max Flow has been saying, like, why is everybody making Exodia jokes? And I'm like, I don't really know Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I mean, come on.
No, I mean, I'm sorry, but it is an Exodia joke. You have different parts of this Pokemon's body, basically, for the most part, and you have to assemble them all for it to be anything. So,
except Exodia, when you assemble them all, you just win the game, I think, right?
Yeah, which is what makes these inherently worse. Anyways.
These will be coming out in Japan. Greninja, Zoshing, and Mewtwo as part of, like, I don't want to say theme decks, but they're coming as part of decks in Japan. Special V-Union decks in the promotion of its release. It also says a Professor Burnett promo card. So that's really cool. It's not a research, but the Alolan Professor, I believe that's the Alolan Professor, Professor Kukui's wife in the Sun and Moon anime, Burnett. So search your deck for up to 2 cards and discard them, then shuffle your deck. Weird. Kind of cool in combination with V-Union, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of jumping the gun, but I mean, the reason for that, for everybody out there, a little bit of detail on V-Union. These cards are not considered Pokemon, basic or evolution. The cards are kind of like in a no man's land of card world.
Yes.
They count towards your Pokemon in a deck, I think, but I don't believe they're searchable if you have a card that says search your deck for a basic
Yeah, like
or an
I don't think you
evolution.
could do it for Quick Ball.
Yeah, you couldn't. Now, I wonder if you could go grab this with something like PokeKid. Because is this a
Hold
Pokemon?
on. I don't know what PokeKid says.
It just says search your deck for a Pokemon card. It doesn't
and
specify.
yes, it would be because the V Union is a Pokemon card.
Okay. So,
also, TCG Player changed up their website, and I kind of hate it.
So, like, there are a few cards that you could maybe use to go grab this if it's like a Pokemon and it's doesn't specify basic or evolution. But for the most part, there's not a lot of direct search for these kinds of cards. So that's why they printed this.
And then again, like this is something also that we think is possibly coming in like Evolving Skies. Because these are going to feature booster packs of Sky Stream, and Towering Perfection. Right. So we kind of think that these may be coming in like Evolving Skies or even after. So like Chilling Reign technically isn't even out yet for most people, I would say, in most areas. So like it would be dumb to not think that support is not going to be printed for these cards.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. Like they're printing these as things that you get automatically as part of some sort of a deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hate making predictions about this because the U.S. market is just so different. I would actually be disappointed in Pokemon if they made them things you have to pull in packs. And here's the reason why. You don't know which part you're going to pull, an arm or a leg or the head or whatever, right? But you need one of each, and you only need one of each. This is the one card that you will never need a play set of 4 of. You need one of each, and that is it. And that would feel so bad because this would take up the slot, ostensibly, of a normal ultra rare, right? And so, like, you may get only one of these pieces in a box. And so, like, what? You get all 4 in a case? Like, that just feels really bad in terms of pull rate. And that would make assembling all 4 of these really expensive from, like, a secondary market perspective. So I actually would I hope Pokemon prints these as, like, you get the full set as part of buying some product.
2 things. 1, it wouldn't surprise me if these were in packs because you talk about how you need those pieces. And like, if you only pull like one of the pieces from a box, you can think the same thing almost with like VMAX Pokemon, where like, you can pull a VMAX Shadow Rider Calyrex like I did in my pre-release, but I can't play it because I don't have the Shadow Calyrex Rider Vs.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, it's definitely a step farther because you need 4 cards. You don't just need 1 card for that madness. Right. It is technically a step further, but like knowing Pokemon and how many ultra rares they print and how many like secret rares they print, it would not surprise me if these were in packs. It really, really doesn't. 2, I would love to see these in the level 3 battle arena deck things that they've been printing. The number 1s, the number 2. The number 1s being the Venusaur Blastoise, the number 2 being the Inteleon. I would really love to see these V Unions be level 3. I think that would be really cool. I think V Unions are, in essence of themselves, like we'll get into their abilities, their attacks, their things like that. I think they're pretty okay. I mean, they're probably going to be like the same thing as a legend card, B tier at best. But like, I don't know. I think these are kind of cool.
I think Luke from Celio's Network put it really well. I watched his video about this, and he put it well, and like he applauds the Pokemon company's willingness to put something kind of crazy out there, right? Like it's not like it's not like this concept is entirely new to the point of Legends, but that's not to say that they ever had to go back to that concept. Like they could have just been like, well, that was interesting and we're done and we're not going to take those risks. Like this is clearly a departure from their black and white era reprint, basically their XY era reprint, which we're in right now. This is, a bit out there. So
it's just like 4 cards is a lot. 4 cards is a lot, in
Yeah.
my opinion. And like you said, you have to get them in the discard pile. I assume, I mean, we've already seen Professor Burnett as some sort of support. I
Hmm.
feel like we're going to see some item cards. If we get a battle compressor-esque reprint that is 2 cards instead of 1,
Mm.
that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because battle compressor is super good if you do not know, and I'm sure Sean knows, and
Oh,
most other listeners that have even touched expanded.
yeah. They're definitely going to have to ban it in expanded
I
because
think they would either ban that or battle compressor if they reprinted like a discard 2 cards from your deck item card.
I could see them printing a stage 1 or a stage 2 that lets you search your deck. I think a stage 2 that lets you search your deck for any 3 cards and put them into your discard as like maybe a when
Okay.
evolving ability. So you can't abuse it in certain decks. Like that would be abused in a control deck if you just want to get through all the cards in your deck really fast. But if it's when digivolving on a stage 2, that's pretty annoying even for a control deck in terms of number of cards. So I
Yeah, you
could
only
see
have so
them.
much bench space.
Right. Um but Jake, do you want to actually get, because we've talked a lot about them like on the periphery, but do you want to actually get into each of these V unions?
Sure. Let's start off with Zoshing because I think
Okay.
Zacian is probably the simplest to
Okay, that's good.
understand because it
Fair.
doesn't have abilities. So Zacian, 320 HP metal Pokemon, not even, bigger than all of the VMAXs
Yeah.
in the format right now, which I find the HP of these Pokemon to be very, very interesting.
Hmm.
But during your turn, if you have 4 different Zacian V cards from your discard pile, you can put them together, put them on your bench. Bada bing, bada boom. Can't play more than 1 Zacian V Union in a game. So this is a
Yep.
clause on all of the V Union Pokemon. You can only have 1 per game.
Hmm.
So instead of something like Darkrai GX, which Darkrai GX, I believe, with its ability, you can put it on the bench if it's in the discard pile and you can attach an energy to it. You can only do something like that once. So if this Zacian V, you get it onto the bench, you put it up, and then all of a sudden Victory Scorch comes in,
Hmm.
bops you, for 8,000 health and you die, you can't bring it back. It is done forever. You've lost those 3 prizes. You can't get them back. So I think that's really interesting to note. Like, not only are you going to dedicate a lot of bench spots or a lot of deck space to it, like you were mentioning earlier, but like you can only do it once. And once you lose it, is gone.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about this card, or I should say these cards, you can see, Sean, if you can enlarge that a little bit, that
Enhance.
each card has its own attack. These are 4 cards
Hmm.
along each other, and each one has its own attack. So I'm going to start in the top left corner for 1 colorless Union Gain. Attach up to 2 metal energies from your discard pile to this Pokemon. So not only is it going to have Metal Saucer, but it's also going to bring in like its own energies if you decide to put this Pokemon down on the field.
Nah.
I mean, here's the thing. If we get something like I mentioned, like an item card or like Ultra Ball comes back in the format or something like that, like, I don't know, like you could go second possibly. And if we get enough
I
support
mean,
on this,
yeah.
you could do this like turn 1. This could be like Pikarom, when you have your Bolton use the accelerating energy. Like this is, I mean,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think all of the V unions have the exact same first attack for whatever the energy type they are,
yeah.
which is its union gain. I agree with you. I think it is nice that they've put that attack on there for the possibility that you were able to get this off turn 1 going second. And like, hey, if you get this thing on the board, turn 1 going second, shit.
You might win.
I think your opponent just scoops. I mean, I don't know, but I think that's pretty amazing. And if you manage to get that, odds of you having 2 metal energy, the amount of cards you have to go through to get there, yeah, you probably have 2 metal energy in the trash at this point.
Yeah, you probably have 2 mental energy. You have all your Marnies and research in there and
Yeah.
maybe a Burnett or whatever. But anyways, moving on to the next attack. Metal, colorless. There's 2 different metal, colorless.
Hmm.
I'm talking about the one in the top right corner. Wise King's Dance, 150 damage during your opponent's next turn. Attacks from the defending Pokemon do 150 less damage. Now, Sean, that's a lot of less damage, but we know all about the defending Pokemon do X amount
Yep.
clause. It's garbage. It doesn't actually matter. Like, there's too
Yeah.
many switch effects.
Yeah, I mean, there's Escape Rope. They reprinted Escape Rope right before this. What are you doing, Pokemon? I'm just going to Escape Rope, boss. Oh, guess what? I guess you don't take less damage now.
Don't forget Bird Keeper,
Right.
and don't forget Mallow and Lana, and don't forget the
Fion.
Switch card that's always printed in and almost always in the format.
Right. I mean, but that's like your but like this one, the attacks from the defending Pokemon. Yeah, it doesn't even say this Pokemon takes 150 less damage. It says specifically about the defending, and I'm like, who are you kidding with this attack? This is trash. Trash attack.
Pokemon prints those attacks sometimes, and I'm like, gosh. But then again, I think, like, would this card be overpowered if it was the other way around?
No, it's
or
a
would it
four
be like
piece-
too good?
It's a 4-piece.
It would be good, but like, would it be too good?
I don't think it would be. You know why? 150 damage is not enough to two-shot a VMAX or an opposing V Union, right? So it's fair. Secondly, cards like Phoebe exist in the format to hit through that. So if that became popular and you didn't have, I guess, some way of getting around it, they still have Phoebe that you could play. Like, I think this is an underpowered attack for what it's requiring.
I just think, like, deflecting 150 damage is a lot. But yeah, once you bring up the point, Phoebe, like, inherently, if this card had that, like, on this Pokemon text and and it became like super good and super popular, people would probably play a little bit more Phoebe, especially since Eldegoss is in the format.
Yeah.
But going on to the next one, I think this is bottom left, Steel Slash, 200 damage. Metal Colorless, very vanilla, very simple.
Yeah.
Pretty good damage for 3. Not enough for Brave Blade, though.
I mean, it doesn't
Brave Blade
have this,
still does more.
Right. It doesn't have the stipulation of you can't do it the next turn, but like it's not like that's a problem for anybody playing Turbo Zacian anyways. So
yeah. But the last one, Sean, Metal Colorless. Master Blade, 340 damage.
Very good.
And then discard 3 energy from this Pokemon. So you do lose 3 of your 4 energies that you got on this Pokemon, but like 340 damage knocks out anything in the format that doesn't have a big charm on it, I think.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And nothing, I don't know of any Pokemon that have like 320 or more that have 30 resistance or something like that to metal. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, do any VMAX Pokemon like have a resistance to metal?
I don't think so. I don't know if there may be something out there, but yeah.
I don't think Tapu Koko does. I mean,
No.
I'm thinking like electric Pokemon because Pikarom was resistant to metal, but
yeah, that's true.
I don't. Maybe Pikachu VMAX does, but
yeah, I think this was obviously printed to be the if you can pull this attack off, you just knock out whatever Pokemon.
You're insane.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, fine. I guess that's the reward. Like, if you look at all of these attacks, clearly the reward for getting the Zacian V Union out is an Oko attack. You know, they didn't call it Oko. It's not, fortress. It's not fortress or any of that stuff. But okay, at least they gave it one attack, in my opinion, that is like, oh, that's really a broken attack if you can do it. So fair enough.
Mm-hmm. It's not, and it's also like we know Zoshing is so easy to get to in terms of its 230 Brave Blade because of Metal Saucer, but 4 energies, I want to know like how much more difficult 4 energies is to get in comparison to 3. I find that to be very intriguing. But maybe not even that much if you can get the turn 1, like I mentioned, and Union Gate on it, and all you have to do is just attach next turn.
I mean,
and then you can start powering up a regular Zacian or whatever on the bench.
Don't forget the is it Bronzor or Bronzong?
Bronzong.
Yeah, don't forget the Bronzong that lets you move all that metal energy around. So like, this was, of all of these, like, I think this is probably the more feasible one that you could see in certain decks of like, how do you win a game with this deck? Well, you take 1 knockout of a 3-prizer and then you get the Zacian V Union out for an Oko to win the game. Like, yeah, that's a strategy. Two knockouts, and one of them is an Oko. That'll win you games.
I don't know the ruling on this, but I kind of just thought of this. This applies to any V Union Pokemon. How do tools attach?
That I don't think there is a ruling on this yet.
I can't wait to see the ruling.
I think I would imagine that you can attach tools the same because once they're assembled, it is considered a Pokemon on your bench, right? So
Yeah.
and you attach energy to it, right? It's not like you attach energy to one of the 4 cards. It's just
Okay.
so my gut would tell me that items like tool cards can be attached.
You can
to
only
this.
attach one big charm to Zacian V Union.
I mean, it makes sense though, right? Like, because otherwise, what are you doing? Attaching? Like, I was thinking.
I was thinking just put a whole playset of
big charms
big
on
charms onto Zacian V Union and give it like 460 HP or whatever.
Yeah,
And I was like, that would be insane.
I mean, maybe they will come out with a ruling that says you can attach one, and you can attach one tool card per card, but I doubt it. I think it'll just be it's considered once it's on the field, it's considered a single Pokemon.
I think with Legends Pokemon, you could only attach one tool card to a Legend Pokemon. So hopefully it follows suit to that. I'm pretty sure that was the case.
Yeah.
But anyway, Sean, let's move over. Oh, it's worth mentioning as well that these V Union Pokemon are worth 3 prizes.
Mm-hmm.
So it surprises me that it's not worth 4, because like it's 4 cards for Pokemon, but
I do think though that like I don't know if it was worth 4 prizes, this would never get played because it is not good enough to give up 4 prizes. To be frank,
I mean there are some VMAX Pokemon that you can argue that are not good enough to give up 3 prizes.
oh sure,
Sean.
oh I agree, and that's why they don't get played.
That's why they don't get played. That's why you still play Pikarom.
Right, exactly. Let's go over Greninja next. I think to your point about levels of complexity I think Mewtwo surprisingly.
I think Mewtwo is way less complex than Greninja, Sean. I don't know what you're reading. Even though we're on the same website. But anyways, do you want to go over this card?
Yeah, I'll go over it. So the first attack, which is the top left, is the same as the Zoshing, which is you can attach up to 2 psychic cards from your discard pile to it for 1 colorless. Cool, fine. The second attack it's super recovery, where you heal 200 damage for the Pokemon for psychic colorless. Now, this one, I'm like, my head turns a little bit on this one, Jake. It goes like, well,
because the card like turns, or
no,
like what do you mean?
It's like healing 200 damage. Like, oh dang, that's crazy. But like, you do no damage. So like, what are you doing? You're just sitting there. I mean, like, maybe there's a strategy of Mewtwo V Union where you just tank and you just heal every turn, but like 200 is not enough to do that.
No.
And so I'm just sat here thinking to myself, like, why would you ever use this attack? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Is there a better attack on it, Sean, that's worth the same amount of energies?
Yes, there is. It's psychic colorless. And this one is called Seisplusium. This one is actually broken. This one is basically SBDO's GX attack, less 4 damage counters, but for half the amount of energy. So you get to put 16 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. Jake, what I kind of said what I think of it, but what do you think of this attack?
Rip any 1 prizer if this becomes viable. Right? I mean, your 1 prize decks, your Chinchinos. Nope, sorry. You can almost, like with 2 Zigzagoon pings, you can knock out 2 Minchinos or 2 Chinchinos.
Mad Party? I mean, Mad Party's already
Mad
dead.
Party's out of the window, like with this. Mad Party, you can knock out 4 Benelbys on the field. You can knock out a single Dedenne that they have.
Mm-hmm.
With Zigzagoon pings, you can knock out a Crobat. You can knock out 2 Poltegeist and a Benelby.
Mm-hmm.
With this, like,
this is like, and I think this also is a really good card for getting around certain control archetypes, because they gave it the attack to recharge its own energy by 2, and also No, not this one. But they gave it the ability to recharge its attacks. And to me, that's also a thing where it's like, okay, it can get around anything that says that you can't do damage to it, right? It gets around any sort of bench barrier shenanigans, except for um, the big umbrella, right? That's the only thing that would stop this one. But yeah, I think this is also a good counter for control strategy. So I quite like
As if
its third
control
attack.
was relevant.
Well, yeah, fair. But you know, I thought that's interesting. And then the last card, Mewtwo's left leg and tail, has the ability Photon Barrier, prevent all effects of your opponent's attacks except damage done to this Pokemon. That's fine. This is a little bit of an underwhelming ability, especially because like usually Mewtwo's have really cool abilities. Like think about Mewtwo and Mew-GX.
Copying Pokemon.
Right. This one just kind of feels like, oh, it's okay. It'll probably come into effect every now and again, but I think this is the first one that we've seen where you show that each card can have not only an attack but also an ability. So you can have up to 8 things, I guess, for a V Union, 1 attack and 1 ability per card. So this will be interesting to see, how you'll show Greninja in a second, but maybe there'll be more V Unions that have even wilder combos. And then
I saw this on Twitter not too long ago, going back to the ability and how it's like somewhat underwhelming for a Mewtwo.
Mhm.
I can't remember who said this, so I can't give credit. I just remembered this. I saw someone talk about how possibly because with V Unions and how these Pokemon have like 4 different attacks on it, we could see like a Mew or a Mewtwo, kind of like the one from Fates Collide, I think it was, the little baby Mew that's like really, really good.
Yeah.
We could see a Pokemon with an ability that copies attacks, maybe specifically from like V Unions. So like maybe you don't want to build a V Union like entire 4-piece Pokemon, but you want the Union Gate attack, or you want the super recovery attack or whatever. You can just place those cards in your deck, and almost like Mewtwo GX, where you have these evolution GX Pokemon that are worthless aside from Mewtwo copying their attacks, and you can attack that way. I think that would be a really cool thing that would come out of this if there was a Pokemon that copied V Union attacks.
That would be cool. And Pokemon does have a tendency to like copy from itself in the past. My only concern there, and I'm sure people who saw Mewtwo and Mew-GX have the same concern, but like it feels like the ability to sort of pick and choose the best parts of a V Union, that would feel a little gross because like, every V Union has like 2 attacks probably that are kind of like meh. And I think that would be a little bit gross to be able to allow that.
Well, think about it this way: like when you look at these V Unions, like if we just look at Zoshing and Mewtwo, they have like a pattern, right? They have an attack that's just 1 singular colorless. They have 2 attacks that are 2 colored specific, and then 1 colorless. Then they have a 4 energy attack, which is 3 colored, 1 colorless. So like, if you were to put multiple V Union Pokemon in, assuming that we get different types and like more types or whatever, maybe like a dark type or a grass type or whatever, that's a lot of either A, different energies, or like B, special energies that you're going to have to play in order to make a deck like this work.
That's true.
Because the Union Gates are specific to the color.
That is fair. Especially because like they have clearly made all of these main attacks primarily of the color of the Pokemon. There's only like 1 colorless in its costs otherwise. So yeah, I think that's a fair pushback.
Yeah, so I don't think it would be that. I don't think it would be that big of a deal. But also, I don't even know. It's like weird. It's super weird. Like when you say like Mewtwo's left leg or like Greninja's tongue or whatever. Like
yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll all have some label. They're all in Japanese, so I don't know how to read it, but
you can't read Japanese?
No, I'm absolute trash. I'm absolute trash.
Unfortunate.
I mean, I listen to dub, so clearly I don't know how to speak Japanese.
You fool! Anyway,
Anyways,
Sean, let's go over the last one, which is Greninja
well, we have
V.
one
Oh
more.
yeah, we didn't go over the last attack. My bad.
The
My
last
bad.
attack, it's 3 psychic, 1 colorless, kind of like Zacian's 3 metal, 1 colorless. This one just is final burn for 300. I will say it's interesting to see a psychic Pokemon with such a beefy straight up attack. Psychic Pokemon, in my mind, typically have not had individual like vanilla attacks that are just a lot of damage. So that is interesting to see that they've given it that attack. But, you know, I like the combo of like 300 and then the 16 damage counters, because you could do, if this survives for 2 turns, like you could do a 300 damage with this, do some damage with something else in the early game, and then spread the damage counters to take game, right? That's like, it's a really interesting strategy. So again, there are ways, I think, to make that one work. Jake, you can
It's interesting because, like, I think Mewtwo is better than Zoshing per se. I think Mewtwo overall is just better than Zoshing, even though we have like Metal Saucer and stuff. I don't know. I look at those attacks between the two, and like the 150 is like, it's nothing to me.
Yeah, it's
because like, why would you do the 150 when for the same amount of energy you could just use Brave Blade for 230?
Yeah,
like
100%.
So I feel like Mewtwo is. I'm okay with the 300 on Mewtwo, but I do find it interesting. I agree that they're different. But the most interesting one, in my opinion, Sean.
Yes.
Greninja v Union. First one, Union Gate, same as the rest, but water energies. So you attach those water energies. Now this frog has 3 abilities. 3 of them, Sean. The first one. I think it's the one in the top right. Probing Foot. Once during your turn, you may look at your opponent's hand. That in itself is pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that is good if you have a way to do anything about it.
I mean, look at the format that we got right now. We got Marnie's, we got Reset Stamp, like.
Yeah. I mean, I think you would have to play this with like a heavy Marnie count or Reset, or maybe they print more cards like Mars, right? Or
reprint Let Loose Marshadow. Come on, do it. You won't.
I mean, they might though be printing, like I could imagine them printing additional supporter support, if you will. Like you get to look at your hand, and then if you play this specific supporter, so it's your supporter for turn, you get to choose 2 cards from your opponent's hand and put them on the bottom of their deck, right? Like I could see that being a strategy. So it's kind of like a Greninja control, which feels right for the kind of damage that this does too. But Jake, I will let you continue.
For 1 energy, Sean, Aqua Edge, 130. That's pretty good for 1 energy. I mean, that does more than Gale Thrust, right? And this doesn't have any sort of clause that says you have to come from the bench to the active during the turn as the evolved form. It's just a straight up vanilla 130. No, it's not more than Gale Thrust, but it's like, it's a little less than Gale Thrust, but it's still like,
it's good.
It's still pretty good damage. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, no.
Anyways,
130 is very good for 1 energy. Just like, oh, wow, okay. Any setup Pokemon is dead.
Yeah, honestly, any little itty bitty Pokemon is dead. But Antidote Jutsu. This is the attack on the bottom left, I think. It is the Pokemon cannot be poisoned. Okay. Like, I mean, if you've got 3 abilities, one of them has to be like the worst, right?
I mean, I think this ability of not poisoning. So this Greninja also, it only has 300 HP. I think that was a direct response to them being like, okay, what if we gave it 300? And then somewhere in the design testing, they're like, Eternatus VMAX absolutely destroys this because you could just play the Slowbro or Garbodor or whatever. And
Zigzagoon is a thing.
Zigzagoon is a thing, and you could still do that, but 3 Zigzagoon pings is a little more work, right? In my opinion. So
Evital Derail.
Well, Derail doesn't. You can't get O-code in 1 turn by Derail, right?
No, but you can do a good 30 damage like at the beginning of the game.
Sure.
Especially if they're playing, well, if they're playing the special water energy, I don't think there's a reason since Greninja has this ability. Because doesn't the water energy say you can't be affected by special conditions or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. But I just think that unless they're planning on printing more poison support, like that laser gun that they had a long time ago that poisons
Hypnotic laser.
Yeah.
Everybody play that card.
Like unless they plan on printing that, which also the third ability would prevent that. But I think that it's just like literally like we don't want to make it too easy for Eternatus to one-shot this dude.
The attack that I find very interesting as well, water, colorless, Twister Shuriken. This attack does 100 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon.
Bruh.
That 100 everywhere?
And
it's not a GX move?
Yeah, that is literally Magikarp and Wailord's GX attack. But you know how many energy that GX attack required? Like, what, 10?
Azul knows.
It's like...
He literally won a regional using that attack.
It's so much energy. And so, like, you know, when you play it in your deck, I've played it before, and I've gotten the attack off sometimes. It's a joke. It's a meme. And the fact that this is a 3 energy, I think this is as good, maybe better, to be honest, than Seisplusium, the 16 damage counters. Because if you can attach items to this, you could
think about an Eternatus deck. You talk about them one-shotting you. Think about how many things you can potentially knock out with like a telescopic sight.
Oh yeah.
You know, with setup damage. You know, you have the ability to use Zigzagoons for those wacky things that have like 110. Dude, you know, like all their Zigzagoons that you're knocking out.
Telescopic sight makes this 150 to each of your opponent's bench V or GX Pokemon.
150 or just 130? I think it's 130, right? Isn't it 30 more?
Maybe it's 30. Anyways, it's a crap load of damage.
Yeah, either way, like 100 to 130 or 150 is like a very good amount of damage.
Yeah, and that to me is like, oh wow, okay, that's broken.
Like even if you're attacking VMAXs, right? Like setting up 100 damage on a VMAX can still lead to the potential like 2-shot. You know, you can attack it with something else that you've got on the field, maybe a little bit of a heavy hitter like the Glacier VMAX. How does this fit with Glacier VMAX and Melanie? You know, this is obviously going to be played with Frostmoth. But anyways, let's get into the final card of this card. The bottom right, Shinobi Body. Whenever your opponent plays an item card from the hand, prevent all effects of that card done to this Pokemon. That's pretty good. You mentioned, you know, like what if they ever reprinted Hypnotic Laser? It wouldn't do anything to this. Escape Rope doesn't do anything if you're in the active.
I like that.
Pokemon Catcher doesn't do anything if, I think, like, Pokemon Catcher doesn't work if you're in the active or if they're trying to gust you up on the bench, I believe.
This is an interesting, this would be a ruling thing because it's like, it just says whenever your opponent plays an item card from their hand, prevent all effects of that card done to this Pokemon. This
Pokemon so like when you do Pokemon Catcher, you know, and you flip heads, you choose a Pokemon to bring up.
Yeah.
And so like, since this doesn't specify as the active Pokemon, you know, it to me, in my opinion, it sounds like Pokemon Catcher would not work on this card. Because you bring that up as the same as it says like you move a Pokemon to the bench, which is why I also think if it's in the active and you use Catcher or Escape Rope, it doesn't work because that forces you to move said Pokemon.
That would be an effect on this Pokemon. It's changing the fact that it's in the active position. So, yeah, I think another thing that's interesting about this is
Crushing Hammer.
Crushing Hammer, right? Exactly. Crushing Hammer, no go burr. Crushing Hammer, do nothing.
No, not in this deck, mind you. But
and then the last,
attack,
it
would just be the item cards. But the attack, water, Colorless, 180 damage. The defending Pokemon can retreat during your opponent's next turn. We don't care about that, but like. Using Twister Shuriken and then Waterfall Bind in succession, if you have a telescopic sight on this Pokemon when you use Twister Shuriken, you're doing 310 damage base from those 2 attacks alone. And then, like we've mentioned, Zigzagoon with Scoop Up Nets, things like that.
I mean, I think the order you would probably do it in is Waterfall Bind first, and then and when they retreat to the bench because they're going to lose, maybe then you Twister Shuriken. You basically say you have nowhere to run.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I see that. You force them to use some sort of backing out card, whether it's, Bird Keeper or Switch or Air. Well, they can't use Air Balloon because they can't manually retreat. They have to have like a supporter or the Switch item card. So, or Escape Rope.
And Escape Rope would prevent effects.
Wait, does Escape Rope work at all for your opponent? Because like your opponent is the one that does the action first. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up Escape Rope.
I think actually this is a really interesting interaction that we are just now thinking about, which is I think the Escape Rope says your opponent goes first. Well, if you don't have to move, then the card effect does not resolve. Similar to like that weird Marnie interaction about like if you or your opponent doesn't have a card to put on the bottom, then you don't do the rest of it.
I will say though, each player switches their active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. So like it's the same interaction as like if it's the beginning of the game, right, and your opponent only has out an active Pokemon, but you want to switch into Jirachi, you can use Escape Rope. Okay. It's that same thing.
Oh,
it doesn't matter about like that doesn't like you can still even with
you can Escape Rope when your
even with Shinobi Body, your opponent can still use Escape Rope for a switch effect. It doesn't just like nullify the card in general.
Yeah, to your
so
point,
it's still like a valid switch effect.
You can play Escape Rope when your opponent only has one Pokemon, so it's the same thing.
It's the same exact thing. So nerfed a little bit, but like, I think Greninja's really cool. I think having a bunch of abilities is cool. It's very interesting. Is it overpowered though, Sean? To keep in mind that all three of these Pokemon have energy acceleration in the upcoming format. Zoshing has Metal Saucer. Mewtwo has that promo Cresselia.
Also the Calyrex.
Also, Calyrex is, oh god, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
But it has that, and Greninja has the Frostmoth, like Melanie. I mentioned earlier. So
and Melanie, don't forget Melanie.
And Melanie.
So there's support for these three. I don't know how they're gonna.
There's support for their energy cost, but the support and getting them all in the discard is a whole nother story that we don't know yet. But it would be blasphemy if they did not print like some sort of more discard support or like card search support.
I mean, there are cards that exist that I think let you search your deck for a card or a couple of cards and it ends your turn maybe. I cannot remember the name of them.
There's like camping gear that allows you to grab like 2 cards, I think, and then it automatically, after you grab those 2 cards, your turn ends.
So that to me, you have to have that and hope or have a strategy around Marnies or reset stamps. But that to me right now is like all we have. But I think you're right. They're going to probably need to print some other support for this in some form.
They have to, right? They have to.
But
because you always, I mean, here's the thing about like these cards, we've seen it with the turn test. We've seen it with Urshifu. These cards are the face of your sets. You want them to be good, right? And we've seen that Dragapult is really good, arguably the face of Rebel Clash. It got its own like Shining Fates big box. You got Eternatus, is the face of Darkness Ablaze. It was the huge phenomenon. We're not even going to talk about ADP, Mewtwo, Reshiram, Charizard, Pikachu, Zekrom. Like, we're not even going to talk about those. But like, so if V Union's going to be the face, of a set almost, like it's gotta get support.
I mean, I guess you think about each of these, the attack costs do imply that you're unlikely to play more than 1 V Union in a deck.
I think it'd be dumb to play more than 1 V Union.
Yeah. And the fact that
you can only use the V Union once. Like, what? Like, are you gonna put 8 cards in your discard and play with a 52 card deck?
No. And the fact that it's like 4 copies of it basically, 1 for each part. To me, like my initial reaction was this still seems like a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
For what you're getting, which is. And what you're getting, honestly, is a Pokemon that has weakness. So you still have this. I think what they should have done, to be honest, I think they should have taken a page out of the Book of Dragons, right? And taken away the weakness, because it is a lot of effort. You can't even start powering this up before they get onto the field. So it's a lot of work to get it all into the discard, then to bring it onto the field, then to power it up. And then the fact that they could get one shot by something they're weak against, that it feels like it plays too heavily into the rock, paper, scissors playbook again. And like I'm sitting here and I'm just thinking about when this comes out, right? This is going to come out alongside Evolving Skies, most likely, sometime within a month or two.
Yeah, either between like Evolving Skies or the set after that.
Yes. Is this better than Rayquaza VMAX? What would you rather play?
Probably Rayquaza VMAX.
Right.
I mean, like, I don't know why I wouldn't play VMAXs in general, because like VMAXs, I can start out as Vs and start powering them up right away. Like, it only takes one evolution to find. It doesn't take 4 cards in a specific place.
I think this is, as a phrase goes, the juice may not be worth the squeeze, at least from what they've shown us today. Because again, you want to make them the same HP as VMAX is, fine. Take away the weakness. Just make it a little bit harder to auto KO this. Because to me, the fact that they printed a card that can one-shot this, that comes out at the same time roughly in the Rayquaza VMAX, it's kind of like laughing in the face of this whole concept, because it's like, oh, I see you put in a lot of work there to get that V Union into the discard and bring it out and spent a turn powering it up. I'm just gonna, don't mind me, I'm just gonna blow you. While you were doing all of that, I've been powering up 2 Rayquaza VMAXs, right? It's like,
with my Rayquaza deck.
I'm like, and you know, only one of these dudes can even knock out a Rayquaza VMAX. And so that's sort of my initial take. What about you, Jake?
I think there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with this. I feel like this could be something that's really interesting, but like I mentioned at the beginning of the pod, like I don't think these will be much different from Legend cards, to where like Legend cards were like, they were like B tier at best. You know, they were never really that great. They were like a fun thing to do, and one of them every once in a while did well.
And you can't, no, I think the thing that Pokemon did here was like, you can only play 1 V Union in a game of any one of them. And with the energy cost, I think they've explicitly said, look, don't build your deck around this. Let's be frank here. Like, you may or may not get it out. Prizing is a mechanic in Pokemon that is very bad for this idea. So like,
and people are saying Peonia too. Like, you don't get to see your prize cards as you're taking them. Like, you don't, or like before you take them. So you're just taking 3 random prize cards.
Right.
Like, you have a 50% chance if you prize one of those parts. And honestly, if my odds of winning the game are based about taking my prize cards, I kind of want more than a 50% chance.
Exactly.
We don't have a town map in this meta.
So I think, to me, like, this is a really fun addition that is going to, I think it'll be very fun for kids. So if you think about, like, you know, Luke did say, like, oh, they wanted to keep the game simple because that's what is good for the game, because it's supposed to appeal to kids. I actually think this is, while it's not simple, I think it appeals to kids because it's like, oh, one giant card that's super powerful, blah, blah, blah. I actually do think this plays into the design philosophy, but at the angle of, like, is it fun? But I don't, competitively, the rules around it and everything, the requirements, I think that Pokemon realizes that this is a win more strategy, not an actual competitive strategy.
Building off of that idea of like the fun kid strategy type thing, I think, again, going back to my prediction of this being the level 3 decks, Sean, I think this is a really cool, unique interaction to like teach people that are learning the game. Because you think about like what stuff have we had in the last several sets that has pulled things like this from the discard?
Yeah, discard mechanics are kind of advanced level Pokemon, right?
Yeah, like, I would say that they're next level Pokemon stuff. So like, I think this would be I think this would be a really cool idea for level 3 decks.
Yeah. And you can imagine getting a Battle League deck, and maybe they make the double one, right? Where it's like this versus that. And it's like you can get the Greninja versus the Zoshing, and like there's other cards in there that are fun. But like as the kid, you're like, I want to pull off the big V-Union play.
One hit KO on the Greninja or whatever.
And like, yeah, that's fun. So yeah, I like your prediction that this is the level 3 that they have hinted at with their system.
Just remember who said that level ball was coming back. I just want everybody to know that. Who said level ball was coming back while looking at the ball guy art?
This is true. Well, Jake, that we went on a long time about V-Union. We both thought this was going to be a short episode.
No. I said that even though we have one topic, we could discuss this for a while, Sean. I just want everybody to know that I believed in the pod for a normal length episode, and I delivered.
You did. You sat.
I think we also like talked well about it. It's not like we were just like, Yeah,
no, But anyways, in the length of the episode, my cat has come to lay on my lap. Anybody at home will kind of see him. This is Goku.
Goku.
Yeah. Hi, bud. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see this.
Such a beautiful cat. Here's my cat.
Oh, imaginary cat. Aw.
Anyways, Sean, thank you so much for getting on another wonderful episode of the podcast with me. Make sure if you're watching this, you haven't left a 5-star review, please leave us a 5-star review. We don't have any left at this point in the recording, so our 5-star review beginning of the pod will be non-existent until then. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Go watch it on YouTube. Let me know your favorite color. Anyways, Sean, have a great rest of the day.
Deuces.